may sound unbelievable, but this is the famous walking tree. How could a tree possibly move? Many people thought the villagers made it up, but that's not true. Careful measurements by experts showed that the ancient tree had quietly shifted about 150 meters over more than 2 centuries. Not only can it change position, but it also thrives. Its leaves are lush and green, and visitors say they can feel an unusual energy around it. The villagers believe this sacred tree holds mysterious power that drives away bad spirits and even brings healing, so they often light incense and make offerings. But can this ancient tree really move on its own? Let's uncover the truth behind this so-called walking tree. Before we dive into this story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the most fascinating stories. This mysterious walking tree is found in Xiaozabagu village, Longgan County, Hebei Province, China. In Chinese culture, the dragon is one of the most legendary creatures. It is not only a symbol of Chinese civilization, but also a representation of royal power. Because of this, throughout history, both emperors and ordinary people were fascinated by the idea of searching for real dragons. In Xiaozabagu, there is an old legend claiming that 2 sacred dragons were hidden in the village. According to the story, these 2 dragons merged into a sacred tree. Villagers believe this not without reason, because the ancient tree appears to be able to move. There is a saying in folklore, people survive by walking, but if a tree moves, it will wither, since trees normally depend on soil and water for life. So the idea that a tree could move on its own is something that goes against normal science. Locals call these 2 trees Shuanglong Shu, which means sacred trees of the 2 dragons. According to local villagers, these 2 trees have stood for more than 2 centuries, yet they still radiate vitality. As for their origin, a fascinating tale has been passed down through generations. It is said that during the Qing dynasty, people once discovered an earth dragon and a stone dragon in this very place. From then on, folklore spread a rumor that if the 2 dragons ever met, a destined ruler would appear in this land. If that were true, it would mean the reigning emperor was not the one chosen by fate and lacked the support of the people. Such an idea was considered extremely dangerous, as it could bring unrest to the nation. To put an end to this belief, the imperial court ordered the construction of a temple between the 2 sites where the dragons were said to have appeared in order to keep them apart. But something unexpected happened. After the temple was built, 2 trees began to grow side by side, fused tightly together. Villagers came to believe these were the forms of the 2 sacred dragons, and so they named the trees Shuanglong Shu, meaning sacred trees of the 2 dragons. Over time, people noticed something strange. The trees seemed to shift positions. Every few years, they appeared in a slightly different spot. Across more than 2 centuries, villagers estimated that the Shuanglong Shu had moved more than 100 meters. Without precise measurements, locals could only make rough estimates. By simple calculation, if the trees traveled 150 meters in 200 years, that would mean about 75 centimeters, nearly 1 meter 40 inches each year. Of course, the idea of walking trees remains only a legend. Few outsiders have ever seen it with their own eyes. Yet the tale spread so widely that it drew visitors from afar, including a reporter named Zhang from a city television station. Before coming here, reporter Zhang always thought the story of the sacred tree was nothing more than a rumor. But after speaking with many villagers, she was astonished to find their words remarkably consistent. They all claimed to have seen the tree move with their own eyes, and some even raised their hands to swear it was true. Curious, Zhang was led by the villagers to the ancient trees, but they warned her not to touch them. These were sacred trees, and to offend them, they said, could bring serious consequences. In front of her stood 2 towering trees, shaped somewhat like willows, leaning close to the ground, with branches trailing as if crawling. Their unusual form held her gaze for a long time. Among the fresh green leaves hung strips of red cloth, tied carefully by villagers like ribbons. Each piece carried a sincere wish for health, good fortune, and family harmony. To the villagers, these were more than decorations. They symbolized faith and hope, entrusted to a higher power that might silently watch over the entire community. One villager produced a faded photograph, explaining it was taken about 30 years ago. At that time, the ancient tree still stood behind a large green rock, but now the tree had moved well past it, clearly farther ahead. Comparing the photo with the present scene, Zhang could see the tree's base had shifted more than 10 meters, while the rock remained unmoved. After studying the photograph and the tree's current position, the reporter was left puzzled, unable to explain how such a thing could be possible. Before she could collect her thoughts, villagers eagerly began sharing more astonishing stories about the mysterious walking tree. One villager insisted that this was no ordinary tree but a sacred one. Every year, people came to light incense, bow, and pray for blessings. However, as a reporter who had witnessed many unusual stories, Zhang remained half skeptical, half curious. At that moment, another villager spoke up, making her even more intrigued by the tale of the walking tree. According to him, many years ago, a mischievous child once broke a branch from the ancient tree. From then on, the boy became constantly sick, suffering from lingering illness. When the story spread, villagers believed the tree held spiritual energy and that no one should touch or harm it. Otherwise, they feared misfortune would follow. From that time, the ancient tree became a sacred taboo in the village. But later, it was also regarded as a healer that could save lives. In one family, their young son had been weak and sickly since birth. Despite seeking help from doctors everywhere, his condition never improved. In desperation, an elder in the village suggested that the family adopt the sacred tree as the boy's godfather. After much hesitation, the family finally brought the child before the tree and performed a symbolic ritual. Strangely enough, from that moment, the boy's health began to improve, and soon he fully recovered. Since then, he never fell ill again and even grew up strong and healthy. From then on, villagers treated the tree with even greater reverence, often visiting to light incense, pray for health and peace, and especially the elderly, who came almost daily to ask for good harvests and safety for the community. The story of adopting the tree as a godparent left reporter Zhang deeply surprised. Why would anyone choose a tree as a child's godfather? It seemed completely against science. Sensing her doubt, an elderly villager invited her to look closely around the sacred trees. Indeed, as she examined carefully, apart from weeds and shrubs, no other large trees were growing nearby. To prove his point, the old man pointed to the ground and said that beneath the roots was a small stream. Wherever the tree moved, the stream seemed to follow. It could trickle water, and in winter, even freeze into ice. As he spoke, he dug into the soil, showing Zhang the traces left by the little stream. Seeing this evidence with her own eyes, the reporter was astonished. Even though everything before her appeared extraordinary, Zhang still believed science must hold the answer. To uncover the truth, she sought help from Xiao Fan, a senior engineer at the County Forestry Bureau. As soon as reporter Zhang made her request, Xiao Fan led a team of specialists to Xiaozabagu village to see the villagers' sacred trees with their own eyes. The very first sight left the entire team speechless. Despite many years of forestry experience, it was the first time Xiao Fan had ever encountered such unusual willows. With a single glance, he identified them as twisted willows, scientifically known as Salix matsudana. This species develops an extensive, powerful root system, allowing it to anchor far more firmly than most other plants. Under normal conditions, these willows grow upright. Their trunks may lean slightly, but their roots are strong enough to keep them rising toward the sky. What puzzled him was the villagers' claim. Ordinary willows live only 50 to 70 years, yet these two, according to the locals, had survived for more than 2 centuries. Could the villagers' description be wrong? If they were truly 200 years old, how had they managed to endure so long? And what source of nourishment kept them alive? The villagers, excited and confident, insisted the trees really had endured 2 centuries and quickly produced what they considered proof. They once again showed the faded photograph that had been presented to reporter Zhang and explained the story in detail. An elderly woman added that the sacred trees had been passed down through many generations, thriving for at least 200 years. Even today, their crowns remained full, their branches strong, and their vitality unmatched, with no signs of weakness or decay. Carrying both curiosity and determination, the experts slowly approached the sacred trees, carefully observing each branch and leaf, intent on uncovering the mystery behind their extraordinary existence. Through scientific analysis, the experts noticed that while the 2 trunks appeared aged and solid, their growth patterns did not match the lifespan of 2 centuries. This suggested that the actual age of the trees was likely much less. Although doubts arose among the specialists, they kept silent for the moment. Xiao Fan and his colleagues decided to determine the tree's true age using a standard method, counting growth rings. Of course, cutting the trees down was out of the question, since the villagers regarded them as sacred. But there was no need for such drastic action. A small drill core could provide a sample to count the rings without serious damage. Hearing this, reporter Zhang grew uneasy. She knew how deeply the villagers revered the sacred trees, and that even drilling would be unacceptable. Her concern proved correct. The moment Xiaofan suggested the idea, the villagers strongly objected. A group of young men stepped forward to guard the trees, refusing to let anyone interfere. To them, the willows were holy symbols passed down for generations and could not be disturbed. Seeing the villagers' intense reaction, the experts reassured them and promised not to drill into the sacred trunks. Instead, Xiaofan proposed another approach. His team would search for willows of similar size in the surrounding area, take core samples from those, and then compare their data to estimate the true age of the sacred pair. This method would preserve the villagers' trust while still allowing accurate results. The team dispersed across the countryside, traveling several miles to find comparable willows. Using specialized tools, they carefully drilled and analyzed the samples. With this data, they established a growth rate pattern for local willows over time. Armed with these figures, they returned to measure the circumference of the Shuanglongshen Shu. Based on the average growth rate of about 10.5 millimeters, around 0.4 per year, they estimated the tree's age at roughly 25 years. Even allowing for small margins of error, the difference was not large. This scientific conclusion shocked many. It not only sparked skepticism among the villagers, but also drew doubt from the television station covering the case. The number was simply too different from what the community had always believed. A simple argument was raised. While it is possible for an individual to lie, for an entire village to fabricate the same story seemed nearly impossible. This was why, when the television crew questioned whether the willows were truly only about 25 years old, their ancient appearance, deep roots, and long-standing legends made the matter even more puzzling. The experts reassured the villagers, explaining that the investigation was ongoing and asking for patience before drawing any final conclusions. Yet even after the scientific estimate was made public, declaring the sacred trees to be no older than 25 years, streams of visitors continued to pour into the village. Many locals remained doubtful, convinced the experts had made mistakes in their calculations, and firmly believed the sacred willows could not possibly be so young. Undeterred by folklore, the specialists pressed on and examined the base of the two trees. Before them lay a surprising sight. The roots were badly decayed, showing clear signs of aging. Yet from these deteriorated bases sprouted slender new shoots, constantly growing upward and outward. These shoots formed fresh branches, bringing renewed vitality to the willows. Though the original roots had rotted beyond saving, the crowns above were lush and vibrant, radiating the energy of new life. With this detail revealed, the long-standing mystery of the so-called walking trees gradually came to light. In fact, the principle behind this strange phenomenon is not as complicated as it seems, but rather very simple. It turns out the soil where the willow tree grows is made up of 3 layers: humus, sediment, and ancient alluvium, interwoven in a complex way. This makes the geology of the area highly unstable, with frequent small shifts that affect the natural environment. The ancient alluvium, with its unique qualities, is not suitable for the growth of large trees. No matter how strong the roots of a willow are, they cannot always withstand strong winds, making them prone to falling. Thus, the willow becomes a victim of harsh nature. Young trees may handle strong winds at first, but as they grow taller with dense branches and heavier trunks, at that point the wind pressure increases and threatens their stability. Because of this unstable geology, every time the Shuanglongshen Shu willow grows taller, it faces the risk of being tilted and even collapsing. Life force is strong, but the laws of nature always apply. This also explains why there are no tall trees in the area, only shrubs and weeds growing vigorously. Even without tall canopies, the land still has a wild beauty full of natural vitality. Despite the harsh conditions, the willow can drive its roots deep into the earth and stand firm. It is a living symbol of resilience and unyielding strength in nature. Moreover, this place is a natural water gathering point, with abundant water that nourishes the ecosystem around it. The willow, with its soft and flowing shape, draws underground water to the surface, creating a fascinating sight. This is why locals believe the small stream at its roots quietly moves along with the tree, performing a magical symphony of nature. After studying the geology, experts explained why locals thought the willow had lived for more than 2 centuries and could move. In reality, the willow does not crawl forward by itself. It grows horizontally, and as its branches touch the ground and take root, they sprout new shoots. The older sections behind eventually age and decay. From the outside, this looks like the whole tree is slowly moving forward. The number originally given by Xiaofan about the tree's age was correct. Although the first sacred willow appeared in the village more than 2 centuries ago, the one seen today is only a newer part that sprouted a few decades ago. In other words, the sacred willow worshipped by villagers is actually the descendant regrown from older branches. Together with the stream, it shows the richness of underground water. Whenever new roots form, old ones rot, letting water seep into the soil. This is also why other big trees cannot grow straight here, leaving space for this special horizontal willow to dominate. At this point, experts had fully solved the mystery. Many things we consider mysterious are simply due to not yet having the right method of study. The walking tree phenomenon happens because, as the trunk touches the ground, new shoots emerge and keep growing. Over time, this repeating cycle creates the illusion that the tree is moving. Even after everything was explained, locals still believe this is their sacred tree. Every year they offer incense and prayers for good weather. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe to follow more unique and fascinating stories. Your support is the motivation for us to bring you even more amazing content. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.